my dad used to be like, oh, come sit down, watch like MXGP. And I'm like, oh, it's just 40 minutes.
Yeah.
I'd rather just go like ride or do something else.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
You study it though, don't you?
Yeah.
I think of you as someone who, just through mountain biking and riding with you, think about technique and think about what you're doing.
Oh, 100%.
Was that the same in moto?
100%. But I wouldn't study like a whole race so much. I'd go find whoever's fastest, find a clip of them, slow it down, watch where their feet are, you know, see if you can see how much they're braking, what their arm position is, whatnot.
There's great analysis now of particularly with jet, I think. There's really cool analysis of like exactly what you said. Foot position through the whoops was super interesting.
Yeah.
And like how they fatigue later in the race and stuff like that. I love all that shit.
Yeah.
I could talk about that stuff even in mountain biking, like bike parts and stuff, less so, but I really love like technique. I think it's interesting.
What's cool about mountain bike over motocross with that? Motocross, there's more of this one technique works, this one that's right, most other stuff's wrong. Whereas I find with mountain bike, it really depends on your style a lot, but like so many different techniques work, which is really cool because you can look at like 5 different people all go through one section at the same time, like same speed, but all their techniques are different. And you're like, how is that even possible that you can be thousandths within each other, but all doing something different?
Yeah.
Whereas motocross, it's much more like balls on the feet, attack position. Whereas like mountain biking, if you're tall, you might have like a slightly different technique, and then you got people who are smooth, who are aggressive. I think it's just more noticeable with mountain biking than motocross.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Yeah.
I guess you obviously, do you have like an aim? I know we're skipping ahead a bit here, but do you have like an aim when you see someone ride? Like, are there riders that you like the way they ride and you want to take something from?
For sure. I mean, like, everyone likes someone who just looks steezy and comfortable on a bike, right?
Yeah.
So I do like watching them guys a lot and just seeing like what they do. Like, I suppose like Jasper Penton, all those old Insta bang clips used to be insane. You just like watch what he does, and he's just so smooth. I think that's what really made his videos good, was just how smooth and effortless he made stuff look.
Yeah.
And then same thing with Loic. Watching him in person is like nuts, because you can hear when he brakes, and like you watch him come in and he's broke really hard and you're like, oh, he's cooking, but like he's braked so early, but then he just lets off, and like you're stood in the main part where everyone else is still braking, he's just like let off and he's gone past, and you're like, has he got a motor in that bike? Where's he just picked up all that speed from?
So you mean he's braking way earlier than everyone, but almost setting up and then just then he's gone?
He just lets off the brakes so early compared to everyone else that he just carries so much speed. It's actually ridiculous.
Yeah.
So with that information, do you then, as a rider, then try and put that into practice?
Yeah. So it's a really good thing in like winter. Loads of people do it. We'll just go practice their braking and like see how early you can brake almost, because the earlier you let off your brakes, the more speed you're going to carry. If you simplify it.
I love that. It's like instantly that's something that I try and brake as late as possible.
Yeah.
Everywhere, because I'm not really trying to go quick. I'm just trying to...
Yeah. So there's definitely a balance. And it depends what's after that section of track.
Yeah.
Because if it's like a really tight turn, you don't need to carry speed. Go for it. Brake late. Slam on. Because you don't need to carry the speed anyway. Because it's like a speed limit around the next bit. But if it's like a fast open section, you want to be carrying as much speed as possible you need to get off those brakes as early as possible.
I tell you what, I love this stuff. I love this chat. When we go for rides, we always end up getting stuck on it. I absolutely love it for some reason.
Yeah.
It's sort of, it sort of proves you do actually love biking, eh? If you can get that much
out of a straight and a corner, and you can really dissect it all.
Anything. And so many riders that I sort of admire the way they ride, I like it as well. Just pick up on tiny little things and you'll just be like, oh, you notice as well.
Yeah.
Or I can't put them into practice like probably you can, but I can definitely notice things, and yeah, I think that's rad.
Yeah.
Right, can you explain to me what your day has been so far today and what it's going to be in the coming weeks, just sort of before we move on to why your ankle is up on the table?
Okay, well, yeah, I'll explain as to why I'm not in South Africa right now, because basically I've been out there for 2 weeks, starting off the event, the build, and getting things ready for Darkfest.
That's pretty intense 2 weeks. So So what happens? You fly over. Talk us through what it takes to, because I guess people are used to just seeing the highlight clips, and it looks like the jumps are, there in perfect condition.
Yeah,
and they're working fine, but a lot goes into that.
Yeah, and it starts a long time before arriving there. Actually, I'd say more like August the year before.
Right.
Sometimes even a few years before, because obviously the jumps and the whole event actually cost quite a lot of money now. We've got 40 riders and then like 30 kind of staff, including filmers, and even people down to someone who picks people up from the airport. We have 3 people shuttling to the airport because 10 people can arrive in 3 hours, and obviously you need 3 cars to take all their bikes and everything. So even all of those people still need breakfast, lunch and dinner, and they need the cars. We need to rent the cars, and everyone needs a bed. Everyone wants a beer every evening, or 2 or 3. So all those things that I never used to think about, we have to kind of budget for all that. So obviously that money has to come from somewhere. So the years before, we have to work on sponsorship and who wants to sponsor the event, to the point where actually we're still working on some for 2025 to see if we can make it happen again next year, because there's so much that needs to go into it. If we didn't have the money to do it, we would be stuck there. I think these days it probably costs between 100,000 and 200,000 euros to put on a Darkfest. So
wow,
that takes a lot of organising to do, Which sounds it sounds like an unbelievably massive amount of money, but I heard things like Rampage has 7 figures rather than. Well, I know they've got 7 figures.
Yeah, it doesn't because you reach all over the world. Like some of the, I guess the test is whether your uncle's mate sends you a video of the biking as to whether it's a successful thing. So you got your uncle's mate, he's sending you Danny Mac, isn't he? Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
He's going to send you a Fabio Whitmer.
Hopping along the way. Yeah, some big snow jumps.
Yeah, he's going to send you a Rampage. Mm-hmm. And I tell you what, Uncle's mate's definitely going to send you. It's going to be a run of Darkfest.
Especially a Tom Eisted 100-foot backflip, isn't it?
Dude, yeah. So in that sense, 200 grand seems kind of a steal.
Potentially, yeah. When something that good happens, thanks Eisted. Yeah, he went on the news for that one. So
yeah,
so everyone was very pleased with that.
So I guess we're probably skipping forward, but I want to ask you about because you obviously then compile all of the reach of your event.
We did do a report at the end, exactly, to then send. So that's what I mean, back in August, I'd have made the report from the year before, along with Monster. They've got a lot of internal reports that they do. Obviously, they're the main sponsor. They give up sort of most of the money in the organisation as well. They really help with the organisation. So they kind of make their own report to make sure that it's worth it for them. And then I can borrow some of their numbers. And then, we show potential sponsors what their reach could be, and then if they like it, then they come on board. And we're definitely not a usual. I've seen some proposal decks from maybe some other big events, and they're definitely not like ours. Ours have got Cade with the middle of his head shaved off, saying this is the best event ever and stuff like that, to the point where we've never managed to get any out of industry sponsors, weirdly. But I did send it to someone who works with car brands, and he was like, yeah, you should probably take stuff out.
Really? Yeah.
Yes, I actually had to take that out. And
no
still
way.
No one sponsored it anyway. So yeah, if anyone has a car brand they want to sponsor Darkfest, please, I promise we'll take the Nutty Professor.
I wonder if Elon listens. Does Elon listen?
Hey, some trucks up to the top of the hill would be pretty cool, wouldn't it?
Oh,
they'd be real good.
Dude, if you could, how weird is it when you get to a certain level of power if you could just get the clip to be seen of us suggesting that a Cybertruck takes the world's craziest riders down to the top of the course of the biggest jumps.
And I heard they're bulletproof as well. And they said maybe we wouldn't have to pay the excess at the end when all the riders scratch it.
Leopard proof?
To the point where, so we rent so many cars, and I've bought 5 cars over the years. 2 are dead. One of them we had to fix the back this year because it just sort of seems to happen after a few drinks of everyone, a bit of excitement, that the thing is to go on a safari with everyone on the roof of the cars. And last year I was the last 2 years I've been okay, the safaris can get quite gnarly. There's some real steep roads. You have to quite know what you're doing, especially when it's dark and everyone's maybe had a beer or 2. I thought, I'm not going to go on the safari for the last 2 years, because normally I'm the main driver and instigator, but I know the roads, so I know the good ones to take everyone on. And then the 2 times I've not been on it, one, the wheel got ripped off of one of them, and another one, there was a huge dent in the back of them. I won't say who did them, but we both know. Like, one of them's offered to pay real nicely, so he's cool. One of them hasn't. And they all came down like, a bunch of 30-year-old men all pretending like the wheel just fell off. And
I
all,
can't
like,
wait
backing
to
each other up.
find out if my predictions of who it is
True.
are correct.
Maybe everyone can comment who you thought wrecked the car on both. years.
Yeah, that's good.
Maybe who offered to pay and who didn't.
So are you done plugging the Dakar? Can we plug your movie now?
Oh, let's plug my film.
Yeah. How are we gonna do it? Because we've watched it. We've had Can we
premiere.
talk about it? We've had our first premiere.
Talk about it, yeah.
Let's not. We won't do spoilers.
No
no
spoilers.
spoilers, mate. No,
No
Okay.
spoilers. You got to go watch it.
You've seen it. You know what it's about. It's
Yeah.
a bit different.
I feel like we should go over what it's approximately about without giving anything away. Do you think you could do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
You reckon? Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we can talk about that.
The premise. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well. Yeah. So not doing the World Cup commentary anymore about ended me.
You're not?
Yeah, I won't lie. Yeah. No, I haven't talked about it much, but it did. It was really wild. Actually, I can't still really get to terms with. Yeah, I don't really understand why it messed me up so much. Like, it absolutely destroyed me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still only now. It was like a good 18 months of absolute grief, depression, I suppose. I don't know. I've never really been depressed, but I've never gone as dark as that, mate. It really, and I still don't really know why, but anyway, I finally came out of it last year. I knew we were going to be doing Beyond the Line, so I made myself go to some World Cups because I knew I needed to level up, as I wasn't going to be able to operate and present. Like, it was dark.
So what did going to World Cups look like when you were going to World Cups? Like Fort William, for
guest, you
instance.
mean?
Yeah, what were you doing at the
saw
World
me.
Cup?
I was
Yeah, I did. That's why I asked, to be honest.
I wasn't in a good place.
No.
Did you? Yeah, you could say that's fair enough.
Yeah.
But I had to go, and that was the start of me recovering a little bit, actually. I didn't want to go
reluctant
there.
to go, though.
Huh?
We are reluctant to go.
Oh, mate, it took everything. I had to go there,
Yeah.
and then I acted weirder than I've ever acted. When the finals were on, I went and sat on my own so I could hear the results in the woods on my own. I just sat in the woods on my own listening to the results. I couldn't... and obviously the whole time into it, like the year before, or when was it, 2022, that last year of, I mean, that's when I started to have like a breakdown probably. And it was, I mean, I can remember, like, we got the news, that was one thing. And then as the season went on, like, obviously I was running out of races to commentate on, and I love commentating on mountain bike races because it's literally the only thing in life that I've ever been good at, right? That's how I see it, literally. So, and then in Andorra, actually, but we had to go live with a pre-show because there was a change just before it. Fluker had just pulled out or something. And they were like, right, I'm going to do the pre-show again, change it. And we nailed it. We nailed this pre-show live, like minutes to go before we went into the commentary. And then afterwards, and I'll tell you this now, right? This is how Bart is probably one of my best friends, and I've never spoke to him since this all went down. Like,
Really, yeah.
I didn't speak to no one, mate. I've fallen out with Martin Ashton because he works for GMBN. I fell out with everyone. Bad. I've apologised to Martin now the other day, but probably then people will never be the same with me again. But I was, for want of a better word, I was absolutely fucked. I didn't get out of bed for 2 weeks, mate. I was yeah. I cried every day. I was angry. It was like grief. At one point, mate, I speak to this professor, Professor Copeland. I don't think he'll mind me saying that. And it came about because I had a good commentary once, and I said to him, I want to reenact that, and he helped me. He's a sports psychologist, not a shrink. Not that I've ever spoke to a shrink, but I speak to him, and it took me probably months before I even rung him, and I was like, I'm in the shit here, mate. I'm really in the shit here, actually. And then he said, write down all your positive things for like a week, and I couldn't write anything down, except I went out in the garden and saw a leaf had grown on this fucking olive tree that I got. And that was the only, because it had been a bad winter frost-wise, and that was the only thing I could think of that was a positive thing. So I was pretty done. And I still can't really put a finger on it why, but it was my life, really, I suppose, 30 years on that tour. And I never really performed as a mountain bike racer, and I'll tell you why in a little bit, probably. But I don't know, it was just ripped out from under our feet. It was me I did it for 12 years with Red Bull. Red Bull took me on as this, after Freecaster. They took a massive chance on me, really. They did. I'm fucking loose as. Like,
especially those days.
Yeah, I was out of control. Like, I'd been all the way through my mountain bike career and all the way through everything I've ever done. School, college. I never had a job. I had jobs. I got fired from everyone. I got kicked out of school. So that, it was a massive thing to be professional, to learn, and very hard to learn how to be a commentator and then to do my bollocks on it, absolutely put everything into it. Yeah, I can see why it killed me a bit, because I almost thought that nothing will ever compare to that commentary again, and that might be true at the moment. Nothing's quite as good as commentating on a World Cup yet, but we're coming back with Sedo Abajo and like Hardline's coming. But, the World Cup, I was a part of that as a rider, so it is special to me, and I loved all the stats, and I loved it all. I loved it. I loved going in the commentary and broadcast, and I didn't love it. I hated making the transition from Freecaster to being a professional commentator. It took me years and thousands of pounds spent by Red Bull with like Gary Bloom. It was the gnarliest thing ever. So
I guess through all that, it's quite easy to see why it's like a big part of your own identity, I guess, how you see yourself.
Yeah, I think so.
Like it was
an obsession for me, for
sure.
sure.
Yeah.
But
was there like an opportunity to fight back at all? Like obviously you said you got the news of like, okay, it's transitioning to a different broadcast group, however you want to put it. Was there an opportunity there where you were like, whoa, hang on, I can carry on? Or was it almost like
really.
rug pulled, almost like, no, this is it, it's done?
It was, so when we found out, it was literally like the rug had been pulled out. I think, I don't really like to talk on behalf of Red Bull, but for me, it was like, has that really happened? But it didn't sink in at the time. And then, that's what I was talking about. We did that pre-show live. And then Bart, after the show, Bart said, it'd make me cry to say it. We'll talk about it in a bit, but actually, don't worry if I cry. I've got no control over my emotions, which is actually a thing. So, anyway, and he said afterwards, I'll miss these days with you, Rob. And then I ended up that night walking down the high street in Andorra with all the I went shopping, just taking my mind off things. I was just walking down the streets, people everywhere, and I just started crying, mate. It was like fucking tears coming out my eyes. I was like, what is going on here? Like, whoa. And that was the start of me breaking down. And I don't really know how I got through them commentaries, but I loved it so much that I did, and I didn't let it slip. I did one in Monson and cross country because I put so much into, like, Finn won the day before, and I knew it was probably like the last swan song, so I went big on it. It was cool. But yeah, so that was the start of it, and then limped through them commentaries. And also, it wasn't like, and it was hard for everyone. I worked really closely with Chris on this series, and Chris Tritch, my boss, and without him, it would never have been what it was. Like he has insane like production values that I love. I always went. I was desperate to do a perfect broadcast. I reckon I came close in Leogang once. I did because it was short track and quite an easy sort of track to commentate.
Okay.
Yeah, I had all these obsessions with it, but me and Tritch actually a few months afterwards said something that I won't say here, but just really.
Yeah. Mate, it sounds like you've had amazing people around you as well. That's
the
thing.
Exactly.
It's not like the commentary is it, but it's all of it, isn't it? It's like the whole experience for all those years. Like.
And then we had Jamie come in with, who's this fella who was just, for the last 3 or 4 years of it, for a start, he was English and just so much fun. But he was just incredible, like a genius with words, a genius with like creativity and making just out of the air. He's like, right, you do this, you do that, and he was. So I had amazing people around me to do it, and obviously when you've got amazing people around you, you've got to be amazing, right? And I'm difficult as fuck to work with, right? I'm a pain in the ass, and Red Bull put up with all that. I ain't easy, man. I was late today. I'm late for everything. I'm all over the place. So for them to stand by me not being an arse kisser, I don't reach out to people. I knew that I had to be basically my work ethic is just to be the best I can be and hopefully, be really good. Because this is the only way I'm going to hold on to this job that I love so much. So that was almost the motivation to do it as well as I did it, which was definitely to the best of my ability.
I think a lot of it gets lost because the whole broadcast was so slick. I think the amount of work, it all seemed natural.
It was slick because of the work.
Yeah. But because it seemed natural, which is probably a lot down to you and your style or whatever. But I think probably people don't realise maybe quite how. I tell you what, someone asked me if I would ever want to do it, and I absolutely know how much goes in. Well, I know how much I think goes in, and it's not.
No, you got to live it. I think so especially to learn it, I did. Like I'd go off on tangents in like research and commentary, which is pretty easy to do, and you'd find a rider from there, and who's that? And then you'd go on Roots and Rain, and that'd lead you down another rabbit hole. Yeah. And sometimes before a broadcast, I'd easily stay up till 2 a.m. doing notes, right? And I'd have a note on everyone who's in that final, which was the top 30 men or whatever, which, and top 15 women, wasn't it? So, or top 10 women. But I would there's always some people in there you never knew, but I'd always make sure I have something on them. I don't know. But in the end, I was like, it was wearing me out a bit, and I'd noticed it the next day. So when I got on top of it, then I'd always have a rule to try and stop by 10, 11 o'clock at night. Otherwise it would affect the broadcast. But yeah, I was all in. It was the hardest thing, mate. I had a bloke called Gary Bloom, like I said, and to work with him and have him I'd come out of Freecaster thinking I was the absolute nuts at commentary, right? Like I was drunk, all the fans loved me. I came out with the most outrageous one-liners that would get me arrested now. Like the stuff I said was insane, but people loved it, and that was the start of it. It's unbelievable that Red Bull took me on it, actually, when I look back. It was a different time, but and do you know what? I've hopefully always worked for Red Bull now because it's the only place I've ever fitted in. Yeah. And it's because they're very direct and I like that. It works for the way I work. So, and of course that last year, those races as well, like everyone, it was overwhelming, the comments. And on site, I couldn't move without people coming up to me. I couldn't move without people coming up to me. It won't be the same without you, Rob. It ain't going to be the same. And each time, and that happened, like, I can't even explain. Yeah. That's all I heard. A bloke was crying in America. A bloke cried. He was like, I've seen this before. We're going to miss you and all this shit, And, like, it took its toll on me. It did. It fucking tore a little piece of me away each time until basically there was nothing left. Yeah. And in Val de Sole, I did finish the commentary. And the next morning, I come out of the hotel and this bloke heard me talking to someone who wanted an autograph or something. And he was like, are you Rob Ward? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, oh, my kid loves you. And I thought, well, you don't know who I am, mate. And for the first time ever, he goes, I'm going to go and get my kid. And I was so done. I was absolutely done. I had to get in my car and I just walked, mate. I got in my car and went. I didn't even wait. And that, I wouldn't do that, but that's how. Yeah. And then I come home and then that winter was, was a heavy winter, mate. And I don't suffer depression, right? I don't think I've ever been depressed in my life, honestly. And I don't even know if it was depression. It was like grief. But I couldn't get over it. It went on for 18 months. Like it did. Until I went to Fort William. And then, even last year. And I went to Ligier and we did a bit of work there. And these things started to help me come back a bit. But, I was rinsed. I was absolutely destroyed.
In what way? Just like...
Empty.
Would you watch any of the broadcasts?
No, I can't. Well, I can't even. No.
Really? Yeah.
No, and now I can't listen to. Which is a bad, because for Beyond the Line, I do need to be on top of it a bit, and I probably will again. But sometimes I follow, the UCI Mountain Bike World Cup Instagram, but then I have to turn it off because it'll ruin my day a bit. Right. And that's nothing against who's doing it now. It's because I ain't doing it in my mind. You know. Yeah. So, it was brutal. It was brutal, and that ain't just me that's gone through it. I know that, people at work they don't talk about it, but I know that a lot of people went through it like I did.
What's it like for you at the moment with the team and stuff?
Tough. We're taking budget cuts.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've put so many hours working over Christmas that I was like, I'm gonna get to chill loads, and it's been, funny. And we did good as a team, like not in a big-headed way. I got 3 World Cup podiums. Yep. The team won 3 Enduro World Cups. Between us, we won 3 Crankworks downhills, 2 Crankworks slaloms. As a team, we got over 5 million views on YouTube with team videos, which is about 4 million more than any other gravity team in the world. So we, I think, did pretty well last year. and we're down a lot of money, you know, like in the year. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's tough.
How do
man.
you balance it? Like what can you do as a team manager to like keep the wheels turning?
It basically just comes out of my wage. I'm lucky
Right.
enough now that I've done well enough, and I'm very. I've realised how lucky I am.
Yeah.
You stinking up the place, mate.
Yeah, Lada needs to go outside.
Let's go outside. We'll go for an intermission. I'm lucky enough that I have a good wage now.
Yeah.
That I just make $60,000 less.
Okay,
like if
fair.
I'm in on, I think
Yeah.
we're like down whatever amount, but whatever you're down, you make that less as the team
To keep
owner
it going.
or whatever. Yeah, because everyone else has contracts, right? Eddie gets paid what he gets paid. Jake gets paid what he gets paid.
Yeah.
So is Morgan. You can't just be like, oh, hey, we took a budget cut. You're getting a pay cut. So, I mean, maybe you can, I don't know. They're all getting paid the same, but basically it just affects me and I get a pay cut,
Okay.
which
fair.
kind of sucks. But
Well, yeah, it does. But like, mate, you got to keep the wheels turning.
Yeah,
I think
pretty much.
Can't have another team bow
no,
out of
and we're
racing,
lucky.
right?
Like we're lucky how good we are. I mean, I saw that orange thing, like the orange filing for administration thing. I don't want to say it's bankrupt.
Yeah.
Made me really sad. I was such
Yeah,
a
so
fan
you
of
just
the
spoke
brand.
about it.
Yeah.
I was honestly, it made me sad, and I talked to Barney, and it made me genuinely sad. Like Steve Pete, man,
I know.
Steve Pete on orange bikes, the
Dude.
222 and the 223. I got a global racing one, discounted from a shop in Guildford, and that was my dream bike, man. The orange with the swing arm, you know, and I was just like,
Dude.
honestly, like it hit a little
sad
chord
to
today.
think.
It
I
was
know,
sad, like,
yeah.
Yeah.
What a fan of the brand.
I know.
Was it the Missile, the hardtail, with the huge tubes?
Yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah,
Missile
yeah.
was the sexiest bike.
Oh
like,
man,
legend bike.
so cool.
Yeah, it's true, man. It's tough to see. It really is hard.
But I
hard
think
to watch. But
however much it sucks, I think a bunch will go probably.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's tough for teams, for everyone. Like so many good riders out there don't have rides.
Do you think it'd be different for you if Pivot was and there probably is one, I'm sorry, an enduro team?
We are the enduro team as well as the downhill team.
Okay.
But yeah, some of our sponsors have been like, hey, we might have to give you a cut because we just don't see any ROI in enduro.
Right. I
Like,
guess
a couple
I
sponsors.
just see it as like a downhill team. I don't know why.
Yeah,
that's how I
no,
see
we
it.
have sponsors calling
Yeah.
us up and saying we might need to cut you because you're downhill and enduro and we don't see the enduro doing anything for us.
Interesting.
We'd literally have people telling us that. I've probably had 3 sponsors tell me that.
Yeah.
Like, what's enduro doing?
What do you think?
I think they do a terrible job, the organisers of the enduro, of like, is it promoting it? I want to say promoting or not visualising it, filming it or whatever,
Yeah,
or like
yeah.
putting
Covering it, yeah,
coverage.
yeah, yeah.
The coverage is dreadful. So I would agree. If you're at the race and you're involved, the racing is unbelievable. It's better every year. It's tighter and tighter. The riders are incredible. The racing is amazing. If you're there, you're on the edge of your seat with your team and everyone there, and it's insane. It's
Yeah.
such good racing. It's amazing. If you're at home trying to watch it, it sucks. The website's down half the time on live timing. And it's, I think they need, whether it's to invest more money and they have a runner. I think I mentioned this to you. They have a runner. Like they film a stage and they have a runner with the SD card and it's going back to an editing studio. And each stage that gets finished, they have this runner going with SD cards or whatever. So 10 minutes after that race is finished and they film the podiums, there is a highlight reel
Yeah.
online that someone's been filming all day. And that's just me thinking about that. It doesn't seem that hard to me to do. I know I'm just making that up on the spot, but you have someone running SD cards back all day and a team editing it. You have a good highlights package
Yeah.
the minute the race is finished.
You could put them on a drone and just send them straight back.
Mate, send them to,
I mean,
like
what's-
something. But yeah, it is dreadful at the minute. Like
Yeah.
it's a participation sport at the minute.
So it's a
not good to
difficult
watch.
sport to cover, and it always has been. But what's changed? So previously, it's still a difficult sport to.
I think they had some good filmers before, and now their filmers aren't as good. Like I know Seeger and everyone did it before, and they had some great guys. I don't know who does it currently. I think the investment into their
Okay.
filmers or coverage or edit, the
So
investment
it's
of who
just a
they use.
lack of investment in
lack
the
of
coverage,
investment, lack of effort,
which is
lack of-
essentially the sport when it comes
which
to
is
it,
the sport. I think it's a lack of care from the organisers. And if you're Warner Brothers Discovery, you are a media company, and if you can't get money out of the media, why would you bother if you're them? Which sucks to say, like, because I love and
Yeah, so I wonder if it's a conscious decision, whether it's
I
they've
think it
sat
could
at
be.
a table and gone, we got to cut what we're putting in. I don't know anything.
we're a
about
media
any of this,
company.
by the
We
way, but-
like X views worth X to
Yeah.
us, and this isn't getting this many views, so cut it. I don't know either, but whatever they're doing, I don't think is working, or it looks like a lack from someone that's pretty involved in running a team
Yeah.
and putting money. We pay to be there. They don't pay us to be there.
Yeah.
We pay to be there compared to a lot of sports, and I feel like
It's just such a snowball effect now, isn't it? As we're
Oh,
watching,
man.
like as soon as that happens at the top level of like, yeah, we're not going to invest in, you know, the the visual aspect of it, and then teams are like, well, obviously, why
Yeah, and our
we're not going to
sponsors-
invest in being there? So
Well, we
it's
have
just
our-
this snowball effect.
Yeah, we have our sponsors telling us, hey, we're seeing no coverage from you guys at Enduro, so we might cut the funding to it.
Yeah.
And you're like, fair enough, if you don't see anything, why would you spend money on it? So
You're
tough to
trying your
argue.
hardest. You're getting results. You're doing all you can.
we're doing really good.
Yeah,
We're getting
it's
more
very
views than
difficult
anyone.
that,
We're winning
yeah.
races, and they're trying to cut budget. But I understand why
Yeah.
it's a tough one.
Companionship. Are you looking to take ownership of your health? Introducing AG1, a powerful daily nutrition supplement designed by scientists to support your body's needs. AG1 is a comprehensive and convenient blend of over 70 high-quality ingredients packed with vitamins, minerals, and whole food sourced nutrients.
With just one scoop each morning mixed with water, AG1 helps to support your brain, heart, energy, and immune system. It's a powerfully simple way to start your day right. While we have a degree of individuality, science tells us that the human body is interconnected, which is why AG1 contains over 70 ingredients to support your baseline nutrition. Drink AG1 is the best way to feel reassured that you're supporting your body with a broad range of nutrients it needs. AG1 isn't just another supplement, it's a morning ritual, a timely habit that fits seamlessly into your routine. And it does fit into my
Oh,
routine.
dude, it does, yeah.
Because I just do it in the morning before anything. Apparently you're meant to have it on empty stomach, which I actually quite like. I take it with me in my little AG1 shaker and just go walk the dog.
I do it empty stomach every
Yeah.
time, actually.
Yeah.
Because it said on the instructions, and I did what was on the instructions.
Like,
You
that's
know what I mean?
the sort of people we are.
Davey, what are the benefits?
Well, Ollie, they speak for themselves. From sustained energy throughout the day to immune support and stress management, AG1 has you covered. Plus, AG1 is NSF certified for sport, ensuring the highest quality ingredients and manufacturing standards. Ready to take the next step in your wellness journey? Visit drinkag1.com/ridecompanion today for a special offer. We are going to give you free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your next purchase.
So that's drinkag1.com/the ride companion.
That's right, mate. Yeah.
Nice.
drinkag1.com/ride companion.
Take ownership of your health with AG1. Check it out now.
Check it out now.
Do you watch YouTube?
Jumped it. I watch ones about wind farms. What else have I been watching recently?
Why do you watch ones about wind farms?
I look at that at work now. I want to learn more about wind farms.
Why do you need to learn about wind farms at work?
Because my job's like to help finance wind farm or solar or renewable energy projects.
So that's
From a bank.
that's very clever. But then your job is also
Doing the jump.
yeah. Yeah, can you explain that? What do you think of you know like if you're researching wind farms and you're talking about financing these huge projects, what do you think of the mountain bike side of your job? Do you think of it as like a remnant of your childhood? Do you know what I mean?
The thing I'm hanging on to.
No, well, I don't think you're hanging on to it. You're doing a good job. I just
I
mean
don't know
like
what you mean.
I don't know. It just seems very different.
Yeah. That's great. I wouldn't have it any other way. They complement each other to me personally because they're so extremely different.
Yeah.
I definitely did just do biking at one point and wanted to. And then I did just do work at one point actually, or at least studying in university. But to do them both is great. Yeah. One without the other would be strange now. A lot of people say that, like, why don't you just do biking and YouTube and things like that? But I did for a couple of years. Not YouTube, but did just race.
Yeah.
And it was brilliant. Some of the best years of my life, but it was just a lot of the time you look around and there's a lot of people that were a few years older that were still really trying. And this is probably a pessimistic outlook. We've spoken about this before, haven't we? But I didn't want to keep trying to make it to, well, ultimately to be really good at World Cup racing. And then miss other opportunities if it didn't work out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not pessimistic, is it? But it's like
No, it's not.
there's probably a
there could have been other opportunities if I didn't do that, but the position I'm in now, I wouldn't change anything.
From the
It's
outside,
good.
it
I still
seems,
get to do
yeah, it
both.
seems good from
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
outside. Yeah.
really lucky now. Yeah.
Does it?
We made you do your first race this year, didn't we? Not first race, but for so long,
Yeah, first race
which we tricked you into.
Yeah, yeah. Pretty sure fastest time of the day. I can't remember. Oh, we didn't stay till the end.
In case we found out the times.
Yeah, we have to be smart. We can't just do what we want, obviously, and money's definitely tighter, obviously.
Yeah.
Like our budget's been cut, which is pretty heavy. But then at least we've got, well, it sucks that there's only Enduros in Europe. Like, I think that's dreadful.
Yeah.
But it saves a bit of budget there. And
How do you budget a race, dude? I would not have a clue where to start. If I had to do a full season of anything, like the idea, do you have a spreadsheet? This is a stupid question.
I don't
but
even know if I want to admit this.
No, let's hear
to
it.
the
Let's hear
world.
it. Go on. I don't know the answer.
I don't really do one. I don't need to.
Nice.
The only thing that that we have enough money to do it, right? Anything after that, if I make $5, I get $5.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter. And I know I'm going to make enough money to live.
And even
So
if
I
you
don't have to
spend
do a budget.
$5,
Let's say
you'd still be
we
happy.
count all of the food last year. And we're like, right, we spent $26,500 on food. Now what? What have you learned? You spent $26,500. What do you do with that? Or should we try and spend less next year or what? Like, you have to eat what you eat. Like, what does it matter if I count all the food or if I try and budget the food for 24? What does it actually... As long as you know you've got enough money to cover the year, what does it matter? Like, I literally couldn't tell you. Okay, the accountant, 2 years ago at the end of beginning of 23, the accountant's like, I think we spent £2,800 at McDonald's in 2022. The team did. In like a 3-month period in the middle of Europe. I think
Good year. It's a celebration.
We spent £2,800 at McDonald's in 3 months.
The cost of victory. dude.
Well, like Sunday in Europe, a lot of things aren't open, and we spend a lot of time driving on Sundays in Europe, 10 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where are we going to eat?
Yeah.
Europe food on the
Gotta
motorway
eat.
sucks for one.
Yeah.
McDonald's isn't great, but it's your best option 98% of the time. But honestly, the budget, okay, I know what our total dollar figure we get is.
Yeah.
But other than that, I couldn't tell you how much we spent on flight. Well, I kind of do because I pivot my ask, hey, can you show us this? But otherwise, I don't know, and it doesn't matter.
My
As
reason
long
to
as there's
ask
enough money.
is that like 2 people going to a Crankworks event, 2 people extra. It's a really big cost. Like, to run any race team and to do any event is like, I don't think people. I never really think about how many people you have to bring around with you.
No, it's insane.
It's
Yeah,
a lot, isn't it?
I'll work out like, yeah, that's too much for. Like, if someone's like, hey, can we go to that Crankworks and 2 extra hours? And I go, I'll just quickly do the math. I'm like, that's too much or whatever. But our team's so unique because I own the team. All it makes a difference on is my wage. So either I make, let's say, $50 at the end of the year, or I make $5. As long as there's enough money for everyone to get paid their wage and everyone go around, it actually doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I just make more or less money.
Okay, so that's that's when you're talking about. Okay, so what gives you actual freedom is the fact that you are a rider and that you have a wage.
Yeah, but I couldn't. Well, I honestly don't know how much money I make.
But the team manager wage is.
Well, I don't have
know
a
what I
wage
mean?
for either.
Yeah.
I just get whatever's left.
Okay, but that's insane. that's the reason
Am I
why
bad
it
at
works.
admitting this?
No,
No,
I
it's
don't think you
interesting.
are. It's really good. I think
is
it's really
interesting.
good.
Like, because I love the team and I do it for a passion as well as a job.
Mate, that's what I think is really good about it, actually.
Yeah, like it doesn't actually matter. Like if I have $800,000 left at the end of the year or $5, as long as I've afforded it actually doesn't matter. Yeah, it would be nice if we have 800,000 left. I don't, just to put that out there. We aren't Santa Cruz or GT or anyone else that has these huge budgets, but it actually doesn't. Okay, it would be nice, but it really doesn't matter. Like I have, unless we were going under every year, which is the first couple of years of the team, you are going into negative. It actually, it doesn't. I don't need to work it out. Like I just make less money or more money.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah, it's
unique
pretty cool,
position
that.
because someone who's not like you were saying, not the rider, not the owner, would have to report.
Yeah,
back
if you're the team
consistently.
manager, yeah, you'd have to
Be like,
report
right, we're
to
spending this, we're spending that. We've spent how much in McDonald's?
And then like,
we're
okay,
really
mate,
sorry,
next
we'll
month you've
reduce
got to
it.
cut the McDonald's.
Yeah, the McDonald's. Yeah,
Yeah, you got to cut
It's
that back.
medium meals,
And a rider gets
not
their
large.
wage in their contract's $50,000 a year or whatever.
Exactly.
Whereas
So
I
it's
have,
you've negotiated it totally different. So
Yeah.
you own the package and whatever's
I
left.
tell Pivot they've got to give me $10.
Yeah.
Fox Suspension have to give me $3. For instance, someone gives me $1.
Okay.
I make sure there's enough money in the pot to pay everyone and go around and pay for a season,
Yeah.
which I kind of just know.
I
So
think
without
it's really
Pivot,
cool to
is
hear that.
BK Racing still a thing?
Technically,
'Cause
I own
you
the
have
team.
the
Yeah, they're
model.
the title sponsor. Yeah, they are the
Yeah.
title sponsor of the team. But hopefully, we never go away from Pivot. I love them and Chris and Cindy and everyone at the
Yeah,
company
yeah.
that's made it happen. But yeah, technically, like I own the bus and the vans and everything.
Right.
Yeah,
Interesting.
but it is a random model. I remember our team manager, the guy helping us slash your stuff, was like, "Yeah, but like, do you want me to add it all up?" I was like, "Doesn't really matter. Like, you can if you want."
That's
But
pretty. It is pretty unique though, because it's sort of like 3 roles. Like you normally have a manager who doesn't own the team, and
Yeah.
then you'd have an owner, and then you'd have a rider. So
riders,
you're
yeah.
doing kind of 3 jobs, which is quite good.
it's a lot sometimes.
It's quite hard, isn't it? I can't imagine doing it.
Yes.
No.
Funny. You have a lot of help, obviously. Like we have an accountant and
No doubt, yeah, but still, good on you.
yeah, it's really weird. I know people always get confused by this, but when they ask, like, the people that like, either work for us or something, and it's bad though because sometimes people can take the piss. They're like, "Oh, I know we can just go out for another dinner." And I'm like, "No, I will." Like, I'll periodically
Yeah,
check.
you've got to be some sort of,
I'll
like,
check through like
accountability.
the bank statements or whatever, especially if you've got like Wise Bank, and you could be like, "Okay, why was there 3 McDonald's today?" Let's not take the piss here, you know, like,
Yeah.
or like you'll see like each of them have got a Big Mac, nuggets, fries, a sundae, and a drink. You're like, just get your Big Mac meal and a drink. Like, I'm not here to, you know what I mean? Like, they're all like,
Just limiting the
mechanics, you're
McDonald's.
bad for this. They'll try and get a Big Mac meal and put 9 nuggets on the side. You're like, you need 9 nuggets as well.
I love how the whole team just comes down to nuggets.
The Macca's
Mac
problem.
Like the guy going down the track at crazy speeds, all of it.
Mate.
All comes down to the
Oh, it
nuggets.
comes down
at
to the
end.
bloody Macca's, I tell you. The accountant called us out for it. It was almost $3 grand.
Hopefully McDonald's
so
are watching
good.
or listening and
Yeah,
hooking the
hook us
boys
up.
up with a gold card.
Yeah.
Someone will have got one.
I think I know the answer to this question that I'm about to ask you, but I'm
But,
going to ask you anyway. Can you ever imagine not doing all that and just focusing on racing? And what do you think it would? How do you think it even would affect your results? Do you want me to do? Did you enjoyed the interview voice, didn't you?
Mhm.
You did quite like it, didn't you? It
Yeah,
put you
yeah.
at ease. Does he have a career in commentating? He's done some Red Bull stuff, but it's never found its way on air. Oh yeah, what happened to you? Were doing on-site commentary at Hardline, weren't you? Now we're on Hardline anyway. Sort of.
Actual commentating,
Yeah,
not presenting.
you were doing live stuff, weren't you? On-site live.
Yeah. So the presenting stuff
That's what it is.
with UMTV is for the Red Bull daily shows
Yeah.
covering the race. But yeah, last year, bad weather was coming in.
Yeah.
One of the commentators that was going to do it with Rob couldn't make it, and they asked if I'd said I'd do it with him on qualifying day.
Yeah.
But there was a really high chance that the qualifying race would be the main race. Then I'd have to cancel
Got
it.
you,
So we had to
yeah,
commentate it like it was the finals, and then they'd
Man, that
wait
must-
and see whether they were going to use it or not.
How nerve-wracking was it? I mean, how good is Rob
It's
as well?
unbelievable how good he is. There's so much going on. I just thought you have a telly in front of you and you're watching what the viewers at home are seeing and you just talk about it. And the premise of it is that is exactly what's going on. There's also a screen with words prompting things coming up. There's people in your ear that are talking and telling you to mention this or not mention that. There's the time to talk about the racing. So Rob's role is commentator and hype man, and then it works best when he's got like someone who's more analytical with him, so
Yeah.
he can refer. So for me, it was someone that had raced it before,
So you're the
So you almost have a
expert
job.
role.
Yeah.
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 He's the lead or whatever.
but I had to take the earpiece out pretty much because it's like so much going on. In fact, I didn't. I think he like turned it off for me to make me feel more at ease, and he just monitored all of that. But I can't. He's like, I couldn't believe it. I said to him after it, this is way beyond anything I thought was required, and he is the god.
It's really cool, that, isn't it? Like,
I was like
realise.
in awe.
Yeah, because I can picture you doing really well, but there's a lot more to it, I think, isn't there?
I'd absolutely love to do that sort of thing.
Would you?
Yeah, but yeah, just I'm sure a lot of people would. I think you'd be terrific at it as well.
I think you'd be terrific at it. You rode with Vink, right?
Yeah, so I owe that actually to Get Pumped. He'd seen Get Pumped, and I think he shared it. And at the time, I was like, "Oh my god!" Like, even if that video gets deleted, now I've made it. And then I had a friend from Cornwall, Jasper Flashman.
Yep.
And he went and did the fest stuff on his own, and then he was my
move.
ticket in, basically,
Okay.
because I knew him, and then he introduced me to Nico, and then Nico's like, "Yeah, you can come if you want." And at the time, I was like, "Sick, yeah." I don't know if I'll do them, but I'll definitely take you up on the offer. And I must say, when I got to Loose Fest, I was pleasantly surprised.
Okay.
I honestly, the whole way there, I'm like, what have I done? I'm going to get there, and they're just going to be like unreasonable, you know, like
FMX jumps.
yeah, like you
which they
just
are.
yeah, but you're going to look at it and you're going to be like, that makes zero sense.
Yeah.
But I remember sitting there, and we were there early, so we were around the jumps for 2 days, and I just felt a lot better. I was just like, right, they actually look like real jumps. They don't like, if you stand far away, they're not even big. So
That is, yeah,
I
okay,
love that.
okay, I
You
like
know,
it, yeah.
You watch someone jump them, and it's not like that doesn't work in my
Yeah.
mind. It can make perfect sense.
I get that. So how did you go about first runs? How did it work? What were you like?
And which Loose Fest is it? How many years ago is this one?
It was, they had the 100-foot step down,
Right.
and then you went round the corner and you hit right, the one that Remy crashed on.
Yeah, okay.
But it was
Yeah.
a year or two before Remy crashed, I think.
Right.
And basically, the first person I saw do it was Reynolds. He was like, I remember from last year, I think, and then just dropped in. And he did the first one, and I was like, all right, it doesn't look too bad. We're all sat up the top, you've got all your body armour on, and you're like, I think I'm ready. And then Jasper was the next one to hit it. So he jumped it perfectly fine. Both these two just landed and pulled off, and they were like, right, got the first big air out the way. I dropped in, I remember I hit that first lip, and I was like, this has gone well. Like I'm flat, I'm going to land. And the moment I landed, I was looked at the next lip, and I thought, it ain't ever going to be faster than this. So I just did the next one. And then I landed and felt exactly the same. So I did the third one.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So run one.
I did the first 3, yeah. And then I was like, I'm not doing the 100-foot step down first run, because, that makes zero sense. Because it's like a fire road round the corner, and then it's just been chopped off at the end.
So you didn't follow?
No.
Interesting. I would.
Bastard.
Yeah, that's a pretty bold move. That I would always follow.
Again,
I think.
I was 19 at the time.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it wasn't like a point to prove, but it was like, I've seen 2 people do it. I know what it's going to be like.
Yeah, it's built in at 19, isn't
Yeah.
it?
And I think Sam said before he dropped in, it's a bit of a scrub and a lean, because the first one's a hip. But the case pad is massive. It's like, honestly, like 20 foot of case pad. And it's sloped down. So if you case it, you just take off again and do like another 40 foot.
Yeah.
But you're all right.
Yeah.
It's not like it's like that, like kids build jumps.
In terms of big jumps, I think Sam is one of the best people to listen to, or any jumps actually, because he gives like real.
It's weird details that stick with you.
Yeah.
That you don't necessarily think about at the time.
But it's really helpful, because
Yeah.
I always worry about giving someone the wrong.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to do that at all.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing ever. But he'll say, you won't overshoot this, or he'll say something that just puts exact picture of what's going to happen in your mind.
Yeah.
I've really noticed it with him. I don't know why. Obviously, hanging out with him a lot,
Yeah.
but
Big jump specialist.
he is, isn't he? Yeah. Which, yeah.
Well, I mean, if you can't build stuff like Darkfest and not know what you're doing.
No, true.
Yeah, you'd hurt a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, it just wouldn't work.
Do you
would
think like your attitude towards it's changed now from being like 19 and probably showing
Well,
up with a bit of a
I thought I had, but then obviously my foot fell off.
yeah.
And then when I went to Royal Hills end of last year, there was another 80-foot jump, and I didn't follow anyone off that.
Right.
But I think because it's Nico's, he has this certain like style of building that just seems to not upset your bike at all. So you just know exactly what you're going to get. So
Interesting. All right.
maybe
That is
it was just a
interesting.
confidence thing that I knew his jumps were fine. So
What would you say if you had to put why it has that?
I think they're just so mellow. I've had this conversation with a lot of people that people don't realise that jumps need to change as your wheelbase gets longer. you know, like on a BMX, a curb feels quite a good jump, doesn't it? And the bigger the wheel size gets, the worse the curb feels. And then, like, if you want to jump a car, you need a lot more lip.
Yeah.
So
I
then,
don't know about jumping cars. I mean, it's your sort of area of expertise.
I mean, I've jumped a few cars, yeah. But you know, like a motocross bike needs a massive jump. A mountain
I mean, like the transition.
yeah, and a mountain bike ain't far off a motorbike, really.
Yeah.
When you're going that far, so you need a motocross jump. So people that build like little jumps with like little curves on them, and then they're like, I'm going to jump 50 foot off that, and you're like,
Yeah.
good luck,
Yeah.
because it's just going to ping you.
So you say Nico stuff's quite mellow.
I think he's just not afraid to spend 6 weeks piling up mud. Yeah. You know, like a lot of people are trying to get on with it, and Nico's just like, no, the jump needs to be bigger. Like,
Okay.
That's a lot of it, isn't it? When you look at stuff that you built when you're younger.
yeah.
It's all just, it's not tight because you want it to be tight. It's because it's the limit of your, like...
The size of the fridge.
Yeah.
It's the, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's like the limit of your endurance,
Yeah.
your digging
Yeah.
endurance. It's like, can I be bothered to put that extra
Yeah.
15 wheelbarrows on this lip, or should we
true,
just pat it
Like,
down where it
go
is?
go back and watch some videos of Raw Hills, the jumps, and just pause when it's like a big wide bit and look how big a hole he's dug for the mud. He's like reduced the whole of Raw Hills down 10 foot and just put them into landings. It's insane.
Yeah.
You know, he's got like 14-ton diggers on hire, and it's him and a mate are just scraping the earth and making like the biggest pile of dirt you've seen.
You've had some big projects, haven't you? What was that grass field that you had?
Yeah, so that was with Speci. You know, obviously everybody watched the Semlux videos, and you're like, that's what I want to do. I want to build my own track. So I managed to convince Speci UK into it. At the time, they had a media guy.
Right.
So he basically took it under his wing, and I spoke to him, and he'd organise all the money and all that. And it was basically for the release of their triple clamp Canevo.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So
Okay.
they wanted like a youth spin on it, if you know what I mean, because I don't know if you've seen the Canevos out in the wild, but they're usually bold and they're usually called Barry. quite a demographic for them.
EMTV demographic.
Yeah, so they wanted a youth spin on it. So
Okay.
for some reason they let me do it. So I got one of my mates to come down and because I couldn't drive a digger at the time,
Okay.
and I just was trying to explain my ideas. He had some of his ideas. He'd dug motocross tracks before, so he knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
And I think we had a 4-ton digger and a 15-ton digger. And he just went ham in this field for 2 weeks. We built, and then I think X Games was on at the time, and we watched the Moto X quarter.
Yeah.
And then he spent 4 days building a quarter with a 15-ton digger. You know, like it was literally like two children in front of the TV, like, we could make that. And then it was like, we could make that.
That's funny.
Yeah.
It's like Colby Raha, just
Yeah.
special.
And you're like, I'm going to go so high. And you're like, yeah, 10 foot out the top, sit.
How long have you been e-biking for? Because been involved with GT, do you get early access to these things?
I was
You
actually an early
adopter?
advocate when people were laughing
Yeah.
about. There's a particular pro rider who had a really big e-bike career after his analog career was over. But I remember, like the year before he started e-biking, he was making fun of me. Oh, you're getting old, you're getting gray hair, e-bikes, you know, how lame. And then like he had a whole like second, you know, like, and it's the big Mr. E-bike. And I actually did my very first e-bike ride back in '97.
Oh, what? No way.
Yeah, together with President George Bush. At the time,
What?
yeah.
Wait.
Dude, talk us through this.
At the time, GT was just gone public, and they had acquired always other companies, like BMX companies usually or stuff, and they had invested into a e-bike company that was way ahead of its time. It was called Charger. Nothing to do with the English Charge brand, but I think they were called Charger, huge battery, and there was this event, and Bush was there speaking, and everybody was like, there's a photo op with the press if you want to do one. And at the time, I wasn't a big Bush fan, and I was like, I'll do it if I can do it with my bike. They said, well, then you have to wait to the very end, and we can come in. And I did actually back wheel hops, and he shook my front wheel instead of my hand.
What did he do?
Yeah. And he was super cool. but GT brought that charger bike in there. And he test rode it in this hotel conference room, and he did some laps, and I followed him riding a wheelie, and I remember him like, oh, this is great. I need one for Barbara, his wife, and then he was like, oh no, I need 2 actually. I want one too. And then he was like, oh, no, wait, I need actually 4. I need like 2 more for the Secret Service guys so they can keep up with us.
Whoa.
But so anyway, that was my first like rubbing elbows with e-bikes, and then
the president.
And then later, yeah, that was a funny little encounter. But later, I was into it like when it really started in Europe and like years before. And at the time, GT didn't have an e-bike.
Right.
So it was about 2008 or so, or 9. I converted one of my GT force bikes, and I put a rear hub motor in there and added a battery. You know, like those bionic systems they had back then.
Yeah.
And I just used it kind of to go to the post office, kind of a bike, you know.
Okay.
But rode a little bit off-road with it. But that was early on, and then I had to wait. You know, when the boom then really kicked off, GT didn't have a bike initially, you know, and then ever since they have one, and now I've been like really into it. I've been working with Shimano really closely. I'm one of their ambassadors, and I think it's awesome. These bikes, you know, have opened up a whole new world, and for me, they came at the right time, I think.
Conversations for sure changing. I think even between the people that I speak with, it's definitely changed so much now. Where before you kind of get not ridicule, but you'd be like, "Oh, you know."
Yeah, I had
And
an
now
e-bike
it's a
when I
bit
first
more like-
started riding for Focus, and it was like it was in the contract. It was like, you don't have to promote this. They were really they were so cool about it. They were like, they didn't want to make me feel like I had to promote something I didn't believe in. And I went for rides on it, and I was like, it was already an amazing bike. It was already up to sort of modern standards. It was a Shimano motor. It was a good bike, but I was just on my own, and I didn't get it as much. Yeah. And then the moment a friend got one, then it was like, you know, it was like instant. It was like,
mixed rides don't work out so well. You have to be on the same bikes even. You know, people with half it, unless they're so much fitter, then you know. But then you have to be super fit to hang. But you need a mate to ride with. And that's.
You've seen like the media landscape change so much throughout your career. What do you see now for mountain biking? Like, what is it do you like all the stuff on the phone? Do you like the YouTube, the vlog stuff? Like, what's your feeling on all of this?
Well, it sure has changed, you know, from back in the days. I mean, there used to be like 5 big photographers in the world for mountain biking who would shoot the majority of the photos.
Yeah.
And nowadays, everybody with an iPhone has become a photographer, and it's a bit overwhelming sometimes, you know. Back in the days, like I have a love-hate relationship, you know, because it's a very cool tool and you can do so many cool things with it, and it's great, but it's hard to keep your finger on the pulse these days. There's so much going on, and even the biggest names do stuff that goes like, it's forgotten like a day or two later, you know?
Yeah.
And it's so many people and doing it, and yeah, it's just changed, and you just have to kind of go with it, and you know, everything has a good side to it too. And I'm not the biggest fan of filming on myself. That's why I didn't jump on the whole GoPro thing either, even though I had an opportunity early on, and I was like I was so spoiled being photographed by, you know, like I was like, I don't want to film myself. I let some cameraman do that and stuff, and nowadays you have to do it, and yeah, it's just like with the sponsoring cake, you know. Like there was a time when if you wanted to be a professional mountain biker, you had to be a racer, and mainly a cross country or a downhill guy. There was a few guys who got sponsored because they were like a 4-cross specialist or a slalom guy, but other than that, there was hardly anybody to make a living outside of racing. And I was doing that with my trials shows and with my videos, and at the time, like I said, it was like you had the finger on the pulse. There was 5 guys eating off that non-racing pie.
Yeah.
Now there's 5,000 people eating off that pie. I mean, if you count in all the free riders and the YouTubers and the influencers and the trials guys and the dirt jumpers and then and even you have to count the mountain bike guides. There's so many now, and they are kind of semi-professional, or at least a lot of them are sponsored. They get bikes from a brand, and that taps into that budget of, so there's a lot of people eating off that pie now, and yeah, one single move or action is not as gravid than it used to be.
It's so interesting, man, because you shouldn't actually, like, it is so easy to just go, let's say someone who's not actually very good at biking is an influencer. It's so easy to knock it, but it's not like I don't feel like that's a part of that same pie. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like a separate thing. Like, people want to they want something they can relate to, even if it's not good biking.
Yeah.
So then for someone to compare kind of like Semenuk at the very pinnacle to this person who's doing how I learnt to bunny hop, it's like, it's really different actually. It's no one should feel threatened by it.
No.
But equally, because of this pie, you kind of do, don't you? You kind of...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know why.
And I don't know if it's also threatened. It's also a bit, I think even the marketing people are confused. It's hard to put a value on anything.
Yeah,
Exactly.
What is it worth to get fifth at Rampage? Or what is it worth to go have 10 million views on a TikTok thing? Or what is it worth to have a double page in...
Yeah. What's 40 million views on German TV now?
Yeah.
People would be confused by that.
It's too complex.
Like, yeah.
Because even magazines, because I used to think, well, magazines were easy. That this magazine sells 20,000 and I've got a page in it, double page, it's worth this. That's what they'd pay for advertisers. Sure. But then you've got to factor in that the person has to sit down, they have to read through it, and on the page where they're opening you, they have to not take a sip from their coffee, because they could miss it that easy.
Yeah.
Just the same as when they're scrolling through Instagram.
Yeah, but not as easy than on Instagram. You miss stuff much quicker,
Yeah.
You know how many tweets you miss since we've been sitting here, they will never come back.
And maybe they're the ones that could change my life. And welcome to the ad break.
Oh, the best place to be.
It is, and this one's good as well.
It's one of my favourites.
It is. Are you ready to start? You can start.
I'll start it. Okay, mate. But I'm gonna throw it back to you because you've started riding again, right? And you're riding a lot. It's almost impossible to get hold of you because all you're doing is out there pedaling the bike. Okay.
I am, yeah.
Which means you're gonna be recovering as best as possible.
It's the key.
And stacking gains.
I want to be.
Okay. All right. Well, the companionship bundle by Peak SUPPS is the ultimate all-in-one solution for your pre, intra, and post-ride needs.
Dude, that's right. We developed this bundle in collaboration with the wizards at Peak SUPPS to make supplementing as simple as possible. This bundle includes 5 specifically selected supplements plus some extra goodies. And we did actually work with Peak SUPPS on selecting these, didn't we?
And I think we nailed it.
I think we did. They've got so many. It was so many products.
It
was quite difficult. But I think we have actually narrowed it down to a mountain bike specific bundle.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a quick look at the bundle,
Mate,
see what's in it and how to use it, okay?
Yeah.
First up, start your ride off right with our go-to pre-ride drink.
Nice.
Activate pre-workout. Okay, it's available in 3 delicious flavors. This powerhouse formula is designed to enhance athletic performance and mental alertness.
Nice, dude. So mid-ride, you want to replenish your energy stores with our intra-ride drink essentials. That's quite a handful, that is.
Yeah.
Tri-carb powder and electrolyte, multivitamin effervescent tablets.
Well done. You got through that one really well.
I did, and they're on the table.
Yes.
So these are packed with carbohydrates and essential vitamins, and they'll keep you going strong mile after mile, lap after lap, jump after jump. And there won't be a bonk in sight. Maybe a nose bonk when you're jumping, right?
Yes,
Brought it
mate.
back.
Well done.
Hey.
And after you finish your ride, treat your muscles to a dose of grass-fed whey protein,
That's the stuff.
regarded as one of the highest quality protein powders on the market and available in delicious flavors. Ollie, what's your favorite protein flavor?
There are actually so many flavors.
There are.
But I like to keep things quite simple, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'll just go with the chocolate.
Chocolate's good. Chocolate's up there for me. They actually just sent some samples, which I tried. And the new salted caramel, so good. But not just see, this is the thing, you can use this in a few different ways, especially with your whey protein. So yeah, you can have it in a shaker, standard.
Yeah.
Or maybe you can put it in some porridge.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So you can use it in a variety of different ways, okay?
That flavour's trending, dude. Salted caramel is trending.
And you can
Peak
add it
Sups
to
are
the bundle.
right there. They're
Yep.
right there.
Yep.
They got their finger on the pulse, haven't they?
They have.
Right, well, that's not all as well. The companionship bundle... That's not all. The companionship bundle also includes a 600 milliliter protein shaker for easy mixing and our exclusive Ride Companion sticker sheet to add some style to your gear. Or your bike, whatever, yeah.
Mate, you can get all of this with free UK shipping included, and there's more. More.
There can't be more. We're going to have to get another table.
No, there's more. You can get 10% off with the code The Ride Companion, and that's not just 10% off the bundle, 10% off the entire site, mate. And they got so much stuff.
Got a lot.
Yeah, you can
found
use this as
raisins.
the base.
I found raisins on the site the other day.
There's chia seeds. I bought those off the site the
There's
other day.
chia seeds on the site. There's literally everything you can need.
Almost everything you
Yeah.
can need. Yeah.
So, what was the code again? What was it again?
Sorry, mate. It's The Ride Companion.
Okay.
At peaksups.co.uk.
10% off is really reasonable, isn't it?
Mate, are we living the dream or what?
Get amongst it, companionship. Thanks, Peak Sups.
Back to the episode. All right, so we've tried to do this a few times. We've tried to release our exclusive news
Mate, it's exciting as well.
and kind of messed it up. But not messed it up, but like we've not quite done the thing properly, the clip, whatever it is. So I figured let's just talk about it.
This podcast is the one.
This is the one to do it. We're sat together, we've got this opportunity, and now's the time to do it.
We're midway through sports news. What better to announce?
Yeah,
Something that's really going to pull us all together as a community.
all together as a community.
Yeah.
Make all of the stuff we're talking about now better.
Dude,
so you can
imagine
play along.
Imagine if as a sports fan, you could literally just go on a site, sign up, and then you just make your sport 20% better.
20% better. And
20% more exciting.
exactly. So we're launching a fantasy mountain bike platform, which is insane, called the Race Companion. Thank you,
The Race
everyone.
Companion, that's
The Race
right.
Companion.
We've teased it quite a bit now, haven't we?
Yeah, a little bit. I think we have teased it a little bit. A few people managed to find the Instagram account, but yeah, at the Race Companion, where you can keep up to date with some news. But obviously, the main thing to do is head to theracecompanion.com, where you can sign up for early access.
Early access indeed.
Yes.
And access to what, Davey?
Access
May
to
I ask?
the fantasy sports platform.
What is a fantasy sports platform?
So you can play along, you can build a team. It's like a traditional fantasy sports website. So you can go on, you can build your team up, and you can play against your friends. You can play in the global league for some pretty epic prizes.
Dude,
to be
this
secured.
sounds like it's going to cost a lot.
Yeah, it should cost a lot.
Yeah.
But the best thing about it, Ollie,
Go on.
it's free to play.
That's right.
It's free to play, mate, and you can win sick prizes and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, so this, just to give some context to this, came around a while ago. Really, we've been working on it behind the scenes for about 6 months, give or take.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had this Pink Bike did fantasy, and we had a fantasy league on there, which ended up somehow being the biggest league on Pink Bike. And then when Pink Bike didn't do it, for whatever reason, I don't know, someone's built one that we now work with, and we've
Big
just
up
put our-
Curtis.
yeah, big up Curtis. We've put our twist on it. Big up Curtis. We've put our twist on it. We put our branding on it. You've done some sick branding for it. We've got some of our sponsors involved. But ultimately, the main thing is every episode of the podcast we do when we can,
Yeah.
we're going to do a little segment called
Yeah.
the Race Companion.
Absolutely.
We're going to do some picks. We're going to do some stats. We're going to talk downhill. We're going to be better at it than we are today.
I'm really excited for it because it's like a positive. I just feel like it's going to make this race season. What we need is a bit of positivity.
We
eh?
do need positivity. We need community, positivity,
Absolutely.
companionship,
Dude, big
prizes,
time.
and you can go on there. You can create leagues with all your friends, so you can play just against your friends, or you can play in the global league.
So just to refresh my memory from the last time I played fantasy,
yeah,
which was on Pink Bike in
Yeah.
our Ride Companion Fantasy League. On the Race Companion, you're going to be given what? A sum of pretend money.
yeah, a budget,
A budget.
and then you have to build your team.
Okay, and each rider will individually have a different price.
Yes, so the better riders will be more expensive, but then the game really is to find the hidden gems, isn't it? It's to find the ones
Absolutely,
that are maybe,
yeah.
making big progression through the season.
Yeah.
Preston Williams might be a good shout. I don't
There
know,
you go.
but he could be.
Great example.
He's not going to be too expensive, but yet there's a probability that he's going to win one.
Like it. I
Who
like
knows?
it.
We're just throwing it out there.
I'm trying to think of examples from last year that were like
Yeah.
wild
that's great.
cards.
Good idea. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. 1-1.
For sure. Yeah. Great
Yeah.
example. Would
Great
have gone
example.
in. You would have made really good points on that.
Many
wouldn't
great
you?
points, and then the more points you accumulate, the closer you can get to winning prizes for each individual race
Yeah.
yet to be secured, and also a prize at the end, the big prize,
The overall.
the
Okay.
big prize yet to be secured. But there is going to be an epic prize.
Yeah.
It's going to be a day with us doing the podcast. But there's also going to be other games on there. So we're going to work with Crankworks to put a Crankworks downhill race series together.
Dude, the
and
possibilities
slope
are
style.
endless. The possibilities
Yeah.
are endless.
Yeah, so it's going to be fun. It makes biking more fun. You can
Does.
chat on there with your friends and hang out. So yeah, stoked.
I'm up for it. It's good.
Yeah.
I think there is a difference. When you have a horse in a race, there is a difference.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I notice it the most if like when Bren's not racing. All my childhood growing up, we've always had that reason to watch the race.
Yeah.
And Bernard and like when I have friends in the race and they're doing well,
Makes
it's
it way
really
better.
exciting, isn't it? Yeah.
Way better.
So now we can just
We can all
have
horses.
fantasy friends and we can all have fantasy horses
Yeah,
in the
we can all have
race.
horses in the race. So yeah, stoked. I'm really excited about it. I mean, it's been a lot of work, believe it or not, behind the scenes. But
Yeah.
these things are not easy to build, apparently. So
I'm really excited to first build our team. We should build our teams on air,
ooh, I like it.
shouldn't we? We
Yeah.
should do it.
that.
Whether it's in a podcast or whether it's a separate video, it would be quite fun.
Or we could come in with our teams and discuss them and why we've chose them.
That's true.
And then we could have the companionship, maybe comment their team below or
Yeah.
whatever.
I think I need to be like, oh, it's difficult, isn't it, to have like friendship band list.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's more fair for just. I have to just pick.
Yeah, not
The
just
budget
friends.
makes it good anyway. The budget's
For sure.
yeah.
So, yeah, I'm stoked, man. I'm really excited. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun thing that we're going to grow organically
Absolutely.
with the companionship. So please head over and sign up for early access.
That's
so
right.
racecompanion.com.
TheRaceCompanion.com.
Sick name, by the way.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
It's the best name.
Plus the cap. We could just pretend that's the Race Companion logo.
Yeah, just put a bit of orange on it.
Easy.
It's done.
Job done. Still available.
Yeah, please. Yeah, cool. Stoked. Really excited. Honestly, really, really, really proud. Really excited of it. We're just growing the fucking thing, aren't we? So
Yeah, it's mega exciting. There's one direction to where you were at and loving it.
Yeah, and
So
it was 30 years in the making.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
exactly,
yes, yes.
So
yes.
it's a 30-year path.
I
It's
started the
something
World
that you
Cup.
feel like you're really fucking good at. So it's not
Yeah.
it's not a stupid thing to
And that's
be
the only-
sad about. It's
and
not
it's the
just
only-
a job, is it?
And it's the only thing I've ever been good at.
You did
So-
win a World Cup, so I think that's sort of slightly bollocky.
It did rain.
Yeah, but it does rain.
it rains a lot. It rains most of them.
Aye.
It rains at most of
Yeah,
them.
but not when everyone else is. Just after I'd come down. But I don't care about that. But the year after, I was third all year of the year after. It was mint. I was on all the podiums most of the year, 5 I think out of 7, and I went into the last World Cup with a number 2 plate, and it was Capron that I'd won the year before, and I got pissed the night before, like literally. I got drunk the night before most World Cups, right? And when Palmer, if he's telling you, one day he said to me, "Get drunk after the race, idiot." And I wasn't alcoholic or anything. I was just loose and wild. And, so I'm going to put some stuff out there today that I never have. That because the last 6 years, I suppose have been a bit odd. They haven't certainly been as bad as the last 2, and it's taken me 6 years to come out and say it, and I'm going to struggle to say it. But yeah, 6 years ago I found out I have autism, and a thing called, which was a fucking weird thing to find out when you're 47 years old.
Yeah.
Christ, I've lived my whole life, and everything, just fell in place behind that. Mum told me the other day that at nursery, I went there a week, and they said, "Please don't bring him next week." I was, I just smashed everything up as a baby. I was out of control. Primary school, I just remember just being out of control and taking poos in the swimming pool and working outside the headmaster's desk, sat next to the headmaster's desk, and I used to break pens with pressure, like, you know, I was out of control. And then secondary school, you know, I was in naughty class, like. I still got a lot of them mates now, and you know, and then in a naughty class, I sat there with a lighter under the table and set fire to a table, and then I got moved from there and had to work outside the headmaster's office. I used to go to school with a handful of golf balls, and at lunchtime I'd throw them onto the playground as hard as I could, and they'd boing, and you'd hear a window smash or teachers' cars got dented. I was on report most of the time. Mum and Dad never knew. I used to forge my signature.
Did you? Yeah.
I can forge now. Pretty good. But yeah, I used to forge my signature all the time. I was horrendous. I did well not to get expelled out of school. And it was because of autism. But I didn't know that at the time. Everyone taught me. So I have this thing called PDA, right, which is pathological demand avoidance. It's been quite a trip finding all this stuff out, which means I don't like being told what to do, right? It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
And even today, I said to you, I said to myself, I'll leave at 9 this morning. I left at 10 because 9 actually became a demand on me, and I was like, I'll go at 10, you know. And that didn't become a demand, so I made it by 11:30. But you imagine how weird that is. Like, if you're texting me about going riding, if I don't text you straight back and I think about it, it becomes a demand. It's an effort for me to text you back and say, yeah, I'll come. Also, there's the social side of it as well.
So this is something that you found out 6 years ago. This is when you went in for what?
Yeah, how did you end up finding out?
I'm pretty private, but someone close to me found out. A lot of people are going to find out like this because kids now get at school, it gets picked up easier.
Yeah.
And then I started to see it a bit, and I was like, I ain't got that, have I? And then I was like, I read a bit online, you know, autistic sort of things, and I was like, yeah, I notice every number plate when I'm driving a car. I read every number plate that goes by, and like it says things like routes are different, like routes important, like routine. I was like, I ain't got a routine. And then I was like, I do drive to Enley every day for a bacon sandwich, and on the way home it's quite a decision whether I go left or right, up this way or this way, up this valley. And it started to dawn on me, and actually then other things happened as well, and then, like I said, I thought I was really stupid, right? And this leads into the commentary, right? So I thought I was thick. I acted thick. A lot of them kids around me that I was mates with at school ended up on substances. Like loads of them do. Loads of them end up in prison. Like, you know, naughty kids. I had good parents, luckily, and like I had an interest more than anything. I had an interest of motorcycle trials.
Yeah.
And I got kicked out of school, secondary school. Mum and Dad made me go to college. I lasted 2 months at Enley College and got kicked out of there because I didn't turn up because I was only interested in riding motorbikes. Dad made me get an apprenticeship at Rove. No. And then Dad said, right, I'm not buying you any more motorbikes. Finished with you. You know, you're naughty. You're out of control. The rows I'd have. A trial once, I tried to load my bike on the back of the car on a trailer, and I went in temper, and I let it go, man. It went off the trailer and up the back of the car. Like, I was out of control. I was wild. And then he made, so I wanted a new trials bike because that was my obsession. And he said, you're going to do an apprenticeship at Rover. I've worked in a factory all my life, you know, and he actually, bless Dad, he thought it was a good living, you know, and it was a good living in the bloody 60s or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm just not interested in earning 200 quid a week on a production line. Anyway, I had to go and do it, and I lasted 6 months on this production line, doing the same job every 2 minutes, putting wiring harnesses in Rover 800s, and I was like, this ain't what I want in life. And I even had trouble there. I walked off the job, and because a bloke fucking punched me because I said Kate Moss was shit. Like, not Kate Moss, Kate Bush. I was like, turn that crap down. Yeah, it was rough as in there. Yeah. So I walked off the job, and then the cars got round, I don't know, like half a mile to the next station where my bit mattered. They had to stop the production line for like 20 minutes. I think it was 10 grand a minute they lost.
Really?
So that didn't last. And then Dad got me an apprenticeship, and then, I mean, oh my God. So I've got a thing called dyspraxia as well, which is like clumsiness, if you like, carrot fingers. That's why I can't work on bikes, right? I really struggle. But what was I saying? But
so where we were talking about how you got this, how you went through finding out, with all of these individual separate things, did they just sort of, as soon as you found out, did they fit into place? Did it make a lot of sense in life?
It took a long time.
Okay.
It took, I was definitely in denial for a long, long time, and then I don't remember when I accepted it, but I remember that I cried every day for 8 days, and I mean sobbed. Like, I was gutted. I'd spent my life as a stupid person, thick, thought I was thick. I mean, I've acted thick in the past. People, I've always acted a bit dumb because I thought that's how I was. And
Actually, so you thought you were dumb,
Oh,
so
mate.
you acted dumb.
Yeah, but there was so many things that upset me about it when I really got into it, like autistic spectrum disorder. Oh, great, I've got a disorder. What's disordered about it? It's actually only about order. Like, why am I disordered? I've lived 47 years of my life like this. All right, it's been a bit of a mess, but now I was commentating at this time, remember? And I knew I was I knew I wasn't an absolute idiot. I saw some people who two people told me I needed to take medication. That fucked me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't take medication for nothing. It's my head. It's been all right for 47 years. Why would I take medication? That really, 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 really upset me, that did.
Yeah.
I held it together in this place and I walked out and I just burst into tears again, yeah.
Yeah.
But when I found out I had it, 8 days I remember, and then I was like, you are who you are. It's just a label. Like, it doesn't matter. This is who you are. This is who you've been. So what about all this shit? And autism, right, like, it's pretty invisible if you don't know about it. But if you know about it, you see it. I see it everywhere. It's everywhere. A lot of people are on the spectrum. They say 1 in 200 bullshit. And also, well, look, I brought this, right?
Yeah, let's have a...
So so all this went on and I accepted it myself and I knew I had it. And then I wanted just to go and get a proper diagnosis.
Sorry, just to unpack. So you ended up getting the first diagnosis, and then did it like sent you down a bit of a rabbit hole of like...
No,
okay.
I'd done all that.
Right.
So I kind of worked it out myself. Let's put it that way,
Okay.
right? Yeah. Oh, mate, it was like horrendous though. Like I say, a disorder that crushed me. I mean, it shouldn't be called
So
that.
what were your preconceptions then? Because I'm interested in that.
What do you mean by that? Like,
What you thought about any of these words that came back on this bit of paper? What had you previously thought about them? Autism, ADHD, like things that are...
well, the first thing I did was watch Rain Man.
Yeah.
Which was like the biggest mistake you can make in your life. I was like, oh my God. I mean, is that me? Like, really repetitive and all them, like, that was a bad mistake, was.
So that would be, the thing that makes that bad, I assume, would be like, oh, I didn't realise. Oh, I didn't, that if that's what I'm like, I didn't realise kind of thing.
Sort of, yeah. I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I'm one of them, to be quite honest. Yeah.
Right.
Like, yeah. And then, oh my God. So, that Chris Packham, the BBC Wildlife presenter?
Yeah.
Like, so he's got it. And he did a show on it, and I watched it. And it came out at that time, actually, weirdly enough. And oh my God, it was like the bleakest thing. And that almost ended me. Well, when I say that, by the way, I've never had a suicide or anything thought in my mind ever. I'm a life liver, and I just like the World Cup and that I was just desperate to recover so I can get on with life again. And same with this actually. But this finding out I had autism did not hit me as hard as losing a World Cup. But you see, the World Cup is like, it changes really serious thing for an autistic person. So
Right. Yeah.
So it was like.
And it's like the biggest change.
Cool, yeah, it was absolutely. And it was
and it's like really positive.
And it was the only thing that made me.
Yeah.
I was good at it. But I watched this show and he was like, I tried to kill myself a few times, and then he went to this he went to an American clinic. So autism is annoying in that you can't get rid of it really. So like every time I go to an airport, 3 days before I'll probably be in a bit of a bad mood, and I can't explain. Like, I hate airports. Like, I hate, it's bright. I always wear sunglasses, but like the noise, there's people everywhere, there's queues, and then I have to get on a plane and sit next to someone close, and it's disgusting. I'm germaphobe. I'm an absolute hypochondriac. I don't like it. Don't speak to me. Don't look at me. And then when I get off a plane, I'm so stressed out. Like that, I'll go to get in a car, and 9 times out of 10, and Red Bull always give them my own car. It's like they knew. I don't know if they know or not. Well, some of them know because I've told them, because I'm so out there sometimes. And I get in a car, and honestly, 9 times out of 10, it will take me 3 hours to do an hour's journey. I get lost. My ADHD is out of control. I can't follow a sat nav. I can't work anything out. Like, honestly. And this is like, Red Bull makes so many allowances for me. Like, you wouldn't want to be my travel agent. I am out of control with stress. And then I'll get there, and usually day one when I go to a World Cup, or when I went to a World Cup, I'd spend in a hotel room, and I would not leave that room. I get room service. I stay in there from the morning till the night. I might go out in the evening for some bit of fresh air, but I would sit and research, and that all day, and that is like therapy.
Like a comfort blanket.
Oh my God, man, I
This is
love
like
the
where you-
stats.
yeah.
Just sat on the bed watching videos, making notes. I'm never happier. And then I go and delivered it in a commentary box. But this Chris Packham thing like that, and he went in this American treatment where like it's a school where they basically knock it out of you. Like it's like I don't know. There's a process. There's a name for it where I don't know, like electric shock therapy almost to someone. You know, it's like you're gonna get, and they reckon it works. But he went in and he was like, oh God, the windows are all out of not sit. And I like symmetry, and I don't like shitty over. I like this. Some rooms I feel comfortable in, some I really don't. Some I really feel on edge, and it's probably to do with the symmetry of the room.
Yeah.
Like it's a pretty mad thing to tell you all this because I don't know how it works myself. It's like bizarre to me as it is anyone else. Like to say this, like what's going on in my head? I'm just your Windows. I'm Mac. That's all it is. And if there was more Macs in the world, then I wouldn't have to fit in. But at the moment, I'm in the minority, so it's very hard for me to fit into a normal world. That's how it is.
Yeah.
I don't... So this disorder thing really upset me. It's not a disorder. I'm just different.
And looking back, do you feel like there's a term, I guess people use for this a lot, like about masking?
Oh, yeah,
a lot of it is it.
yeah.
So, and this isn't about me at all, but I've definitely had in the past a conversation with my partner about it where I'll say like, look, I feel like shit inside, but on the outside, you'd have no idea because I'll just put on this front and it's just like, oh, and you're known as that guy, like the loud, like...
Yeah.
So I guess it gives you that, you've always got to be that guy, even if inside you're like really unhappy.
Yeah, and it's exhausting.
It is, exactly.
Exhausting. Dakar, I slept all the time because it ruined my sleep pattern, so sleep is absolutely crucial to me, and getting up early is not a thing I can do.
Right.
But on top of that, right, it's probably noisy there. It was overwhelmed. It's big trucks. There was nowhere to hide apart. Well, once my tent was there in the afternoons, I could hide in that. But until then, I was sort of exposed. Yeah, it was tricky. But and you know, I am up for that. Like I absolutely want to live my life as normal as I can. So it's not, you know, I don't want everyone to listen to this and go, oh, we can't send him to Dakar again. No, I absolutely loved it. It was a hell of an experience. And I lived for those moments. And the visuals, man, I can see like a big truck. I think, you know, I get impressed by, like, I love volcanoes. Why? Because they're just massive. I can, like, they say you can stare at twirly things or something when you've got autism, but I stare at volcanoes. I love a view. I'll stand in for hours and look at fucking mountains or view. Yeah, I'm weird.
Yeah.
I know I'm weird. It's all right.
Hey man, what an episode that was. You did amazing in it.
And so did you.
You shone like a star.
You shone like a moon.
I shone like a focused spring deal.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
beautiful
good.
transition.
Right, I've got a question for you, David, to kick this final advert off.
Yeah.
What would you do with up to 400 euros
Yeah.
if you got it back when buying a bike?
Ooh, I could stay in the bike shop and spend my 400 euros on accessories.
Good point. Support your local bike shop. Great point.
I could take the 400 euros and go to another shop close by, maybe buy 400 euros of pasta, maybe go to the Euro
Fuels your
store,
ride.
get 400 euros and just, that's Christmas done for eternity.
True.
Just keep handing them out every
Lottery
year.
tickets,
Yeah, beans,
tyres,
a
chamois cream,
new pet.
a new pet, perhaps a water dragon or an iguana. Lovely idea. Well, Focus are actually making that question a reality.
Nice.
Because with the Focus Spring deals, you can grab up to 400 euros back when buying a new bike. If you want to find out more, check out the terms and conditions and all of the details in the link. We're going to put that below, and I'm also going to read it out.
Please.
Okay, you ready for me to read it out?
Yes, I'm.
This is old school, innit? Reading out links.
Yeah, anticipation.
I'm going
is
to do
high.
it anyway.
Please do
I'm
it.
doing it.
I want the deal.
ride.focus.bikes/spring deals TRC.
Ooh, nice. So that is ride.focus.bikes/spring deals TRC. And let us know in the comments what you would do with 400 euros. Best answer wins a signed ODub hat.
Oh, I like it. Good.
All
I've
right.
got hats. Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah, I'm good
Okay,
for that.
okay.
Hey, can we also put something up here that you can click on for the next episode?
How about we put a subscribe up there in the middle?
Yeah, I love
We're going to put a video we think that our lovely companionship will love on your face.
on my face.
Yeah. And
So
on
they can't
my
see me now.
Gone. And on my face, another video that we think people will love. And thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Please hit like and subscribe. You guys are the best.
Peace and love.